On the outer rim of the virile expanse, stories were more valuable than weapons. That was what Illyra had been taught since she was small. Small even by Keshri standards, with slate-blue skin and frilled ears that twitched at every unfamiliar sound. Stories warned of predators, of dead zones where the air turned poisonous, of ancient wars that had cracked moons in half. And among all those tales, there was one kind everyone dismissed with a laugh. Humans. According to the elders, humans were not real anymore. They were myths from a brutal age. Hairless bipeds born on death worlds, forged by endless war, too violent to survive the age of diplomacy. They were said to be unstoppable warriors, able to fight through wounds that would kill other species, stubborn enough to charge into hopeless battles simply because someone needed them to. But myths were comfortable. Myths meant the universe had rules. Illyra had always suspected that comfort was a lie. She lived on Kesh Prime's frontier settlements, a ring of fragile habitats perched between civilization and the wild expanse beyond. The virile expanse was unclaimed space, rich in resources and poor in mercy. Pirates roamed it. Predatory species hunted it. And when things went wrong, no fleet arrived in time. That was why Illyra worked as a survey technician, mapping routes, scanning for threats, and praying that her data would keep the settlements alive one more season. On the day the myth became real, she was alone. Her skimmer lay half-buried in ash at the base of a shattered canyon wall. A seismic anomaly had knocked it from the sky, and the emergency beacon had failed. Her comm unit hissed with static. The sun was sinking, staining the dust a deep, blood-like red. Illyra checked her sidearm for the third time, even though she knew it wouldn't help much. The creatures that hunted the canyons didn't fear plasma burns. They feared overwhelming force, or nothing at all. As darkness crept in, she heard the sound. Heavy footsteps. Not the skittering rush of a canyon predator. Not the gliding movement of a native flyer. These were slow, deliberate, confident. The sound of something that did not expect to be challenged. Illyra backed toward the canyon wall, heart hammering. A silhouette emerged from the shadows. Broad. Bipedal. Her mind scrambled for logic. No known species in the expanse matched that shape. The figure stepped forward, and the fading light caught on dull metal plates strapped over dark fabric. A long weapon rested easily in its hands. Two forward-facing eyes locked onto her. Illyra's breath caught. Human. The word rose unbidden from childhood stories she didn't believe in anymore. She raised her weapon with shaking hands. Stay back, she said in trade common. I am armed. The figure stopped. Then it spoke. Easy, it said, its voice low, calm, and unmistakably real. If I wanted you dead, you wouldn't be standing. That, more than anything else, shattered the myth. His name was Marcus Hale. He said it like it was nothing special, like he wasn't a living contradiction of everything the galaxy claimed to understand. He explained that he was part of a small human expeditionary group, contracted security for deep space research teams. When Illyra asked where the rest of them were, he only said, "Elsewhere. Busy." She didn't press. They made camp near the wreckage of her skimmer. Marcus moved with efficient ease, setting perimeter sensors, checking wind patterns, and scanning the canyon with a handheld device that hummed softly. He noticed things she had missed. Tracks, heat distortions, subtle shifts in the air. You should have been dead twice already, he said matter-of-factly. Illyra swallowed. You came alone. He shrugged. Didn't need more. The confidence wasn't arrogance. It was certainty. The kind that came from surviving situations where confidence was the only thing that kept you moving. As night deepened, the predators came. They emerged from the canyon walls like living shadows, massive, many-limbed creatures with bone-plated heads and maws full of grinding teeth. Illyra froze, terror locking her limbs. Marcus didn't. He stepped forward, placing himself between her and the creatures, weapon raised. When they charged, he met them head-on. The firefight was brutal and fast. Marcus fired in controlled bursts, each shot precise, each movement calculated. When one creature closed the distance, he didn't retreat. He advanced, slamming a blade into its exposed joint with enough force to crack bone. Illyra screamed when one of them knocked him aside, claws raking across his armor. Marcus stood back up. Blood soaked through his sleeve, dark and steaming in the cold night air. He didn't slow. He didn't even glance at the wound. He finished the fight standing. When the last predator fell, silence returned to the canyon. Illyra stared at him in horror and awe. "You're injured." "Yeah," he said, glancing down. "I'll live." "You should be unconscious." He smirked faintly. "That's what they always say." By morning, her distress beacon had finally connected with a distant relay. Rescue would arrive within a day. Illyra spent the waiting hours watching Marcus, cleaning his weapons, repairing his armor, stitching his own wound without anesthetic. "You feel pain," she said quietly. "Why keep fighting like that?" He paused. "Pain's information. Doesn't get to make decisions." That answer followed her long after rescue arrived. When Illyra returned to the settlement, she told them what she had seen. The elders listened in silence as she described the human, not as a monster, not as a god, but as something far more unsettling. Protector. Some dismissed her story. Others grew afraid. But the fear spread faster than disbelief, because the predators near the canyon stopped coming. Pirate activity in the region declined. Distress calls began to resolve themselves before rescue fleets arrived. Whispers spread through the frontier. The humans were back. Weeks later, a delegation from the Keshri Council summoned Illyra. They wanted her to guide them to the place where she had encountered the human. She agreed, though unease twisted in her chest. They found Marcus at the edge of the expanse, standing with a small group of humans, men and women clad in similar armor, ships hovering behind them like silent sentinels. The council members bristled with tension. One elder finally spoke. "We believed your kind was a legend." Marcus tilted his head slightly. "We get that a lot." "Why return now?" another demanded. "Why reveal yourselves?" Marcus's gaze drifted to Illyra for a moment, then back to the council. "We never left. We just stopped advertising. The galaxy decided it didn't need us anymore." "And now?" Illyra asked softly. He smiled just a little. "Now people are starting to get hurt again." The council exchanged uneasy glances. "You could conquer this region," an elder said. "No one would stop you." Marcus's smile vanished. "That's the difference between us and the stories," he said. "We don't show up to rule. We show up when someone can't hold the line alone." Silence followed. Then slowly the elders bowed. In the months that followed, human ships became a rare but reassuring sight on the frontier. They didn't claim territory. They didn't demand tribute. They responded to distress calls no one else answered. They stood between fragile settlements and unstoppable threats, then vanished back into the dark. The myths changed. Children no longer spoke of humans as monsters or ghosts. They spoke of them the way sailors spoke of lighthouses, dangerous to approach, but life-saving when the storm came. As for Illyra, she left her technician post and joined the interspecies liaison corps. Someone had to translate human intentions to a galaxy that still feared them. Sometimes when the night was quiet, she remembered the moment in the canyon, The fear, the disbelief, the impossible relief of seeing a legend step out of the dark. She had thought humans were myths. She had been wrong. They were something far more terrifying to the enemies of the innocent, and far more precious to those who needed them. They were real, and they had chosen to stand.